Mr. Marty Show.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Ho, ho, the Mr. Marty Show. The Mr. Marty Show. So glad you're here. So glad you're here, my friends. Pull up a chair, gonna fill you with joy. Gonna fill you with cheer so much you're gonna let out a great big cheer. Yahoo! For the Mr. Marty Show. I'm the Mr. Marty Show, 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 Mr. Marty Show, Mr. Marty Show, Mr. Marty Show. The Mr. Marty Show, 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 show. How do you like them apples on the Mr. Marty Show? Bye.
Is it just a joke? Can it be all I made was made to be broke? I'm whistling in the dark. What is the purpose? Should I even care? Do I make a difference? Anybody there? Whistling in the dark. All I want is to leave spend the night whistling in the dark. All I want is to feel love. All I need is joy. Or will I be constantly whistling in the dark? When I'm dead, who'll remember me? What will I leave behind, or will there just be whistling in the dark? Who am I kidding? Is it just a joke? Can it be all I've made was made to be broke? What is the purpose? Should I even care? Do I make a difference? Anybody there? Can you tell me? Do you have a clue? Are you just as lost? Don't know what to do? If I was a lighthouse, I wouldn't have a light. Wrecking ships on the rocks.
Hey, want to show your support of Martin's artist endeavors? Buy Me a Coffee is an online site that makes supporting Marty easy. In just a few taps, you can make a payment of any amount, and no account is needed. You can also decide to become an ongoing supporter. Go to martinmccormack.com and click on the words Support Martin. Let's help Martin keep it all caffeinated.
Hi, Mr. Marty fans. Ma Gilmore here with Mary Jo Carlson. And today we're talking about an ode to apples. Well, Mary Jo has told me she has never been No, and we are in Illinois and we have apple trees and apple orchards everywhere. But you also told me why. So why is that?
I'm not an apple fan.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I love apple pie. I love cooked apples. So apple pie and apple strudel and applesauce. And my mom, when I was younger, always peeled the apple, which was better. I just couldn't, there's something with the skin that I couldn't digest or couldn't chew, so.
Yeah. I know some people don't like apples, and it's because of the texture, or the skin that you have to bite through. I have found a place that, have you been to Long Grove?
Yes.
And that's my favorite place to go. And they have the apple strudel and the pastries with apples during apple season.
Oh.
And that is apple donuts. Oh.
Those are good.
Yes, they are. They are. So, yeah, anything apple that you can think of. Now, when I think about apples, and I am a lover of apples, some days I just crave an apple with peanut butter and raisins put on it. I just love caramel apples. That's very good too. Yeah. Oh my goodness. We're back to Fannie Mae. Yeah, I love caramel apples. But when I think of apples, I think about my Christmas dolls, and I can tell you why. I have dolls that in Arkansas, they dried the apple. First they carved in a face into the apple, and then they shrunk it by letting it dry, and you've got this little face in this apple, and they put hair on it. And so I have a granny and a grandpa apple dolls, and I thought, how interesting that they would do something like that. And I know it took quite a while for it to, shrink up. So that's my apple story. But I too love apple pie. I've made one apple pie in my life. And apple croissants too, where they stuff the apples inside. Dunkin' Donuts. That's good too. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts has the apple cider donuts. Whoa, so good. You're making me hungry too. I'm like, okay, so go and buy some apples. Eat them either with the skin on or off, or make your apple pies, make your applesauce, and enjoy them. And go pick some apples.
I will.
You will, okay. So it's Ma Gilmore and
Mary Jo.
and we are saying peace.
And now, 30 seconds of cue.
Hello, Mr. Marty Show members. I hope you can hear me okay because I'm a little bit away from the camera. This is the old timer. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado. This is where we live now. There's some thunder. Yes, it's going to rain too. The Boulder Apple Tree Project, of which this tree was one of, there's a tag on it, was done back in about 2016, 2018. And it's committed to study the age, health, history, and genetics of Boulder's apple trees. In the late 1800s, much of the land in the city of Boulder was planted for fruit production. For a period of time at the beginning of the 20th century, Colorado was one of the top apple growing states in the nation, and many varieties were cultivated. Disease, drought, and possibly prohibition combined to hasten the decline of apple production in the state. As commercial apple production in Washington state began to flourish, many of the orchards in Colorado were falling into disrepair or subdivision for development. Most of the remaining trees are ending their natural lifespan now, and time is of the essence for research and preservation. The invention of the Red Delicious, which most of you are familiar with, soon to become America's most popular variety, cemented Washington's Columbia Valley region as the nation's apple growing capital, and Boulder's apple growing ambitions suffered. Orchards fell into disrepair. However, many trees survived and continued to play a role on small farms and in family recipes. These trees represent cultivars that have withstood disease and the environmental stressors of the semi-arid climate, as well as genetic diversity absent from commercial apple production. Through the combined efforts of genetics, ecologists, horticulturists, historians, and the Boulder County community, the Boulder Apple Project is assembling a picture of Boulder's apples that is both invigorating and alarming. Over 1,000 heirloom apple trees remain in Boulder County, but we lose about 10% of the population each year due to age. Catherine Sutting's children arrived home one day in 2017 with a small bag of apples from an unkept old apple tree that sat in the middle of a field near her home in Louisville. Sutting, who's an ecology professor at the University of Colorado Boulder, who moved here from Berkeley about 10 years ago, would often walk along the bike path that weaves through the field, appreciating the view of the Boulder Flatirons to the northwest. She had seen the trees before, but never thought much about it. Until the apples her children brought home made her curious, and she paid the tree a visit. It looked more like a large bush than a tree, its fruit-covered branches bent over and stretching to the ground, clearly uncared for, though still cared about. Those branches formed the roof and walls of a natural fort, marked with a welcome sign placed near an opening in the canopy for neighborhood kids. I can't believe there's a tree that's not being watered and not being taken care of and producing a ton of fruit. This is crazy that this tree can live. The trunk was cracked and hollow, so determining its age by counting rings was impossible. Based on the diameter of the trunk, though, she estimated that the tree was about 100 years old. And it wasn't the only interesting old tree in the area. As she went about her daily life, Suding began to notice more and more strange apple trees around Boulder County. She started looking into the history of the tree near her house. At the Louisville Historical Museum, she found evidence to back up her estimate of the tree's age. She said, quote, "We found a map of the town from the 1920s which showed the different landowners. This area was owned by a family in town that came from Wisconsin. Since apple trees along the Front Range of the Rockies typically live between 80 and 120 years, her interest in the old trees took on some urgency. That fall, she founded the Boulder Apple Tree Project, an initiative based in Colorado University's ecology department that was designed to track down and preserve the trees before they die. When settlers began arriving here in the mid to late 1800s, the landscape was much more arid, so they basically had to plant any of this stuff for shade and for food. It was one of the first things they did when they tried to establish themselves, she explained. Since different apple trees produce different kinds of apples, marked by their own flavors and physical characteristics, many homesteaders would bring a small branch of an apple tree from back home and plant the branch to take root as a sapling. This ensured that they could enjoy a taste of home, since most apple trees grown from seeds do not produce good tasting fruit. These are really good. They taste almost like a Fuji, a little bit tart, a little bit sweet, and they're great. This is the old timer saying adios.
Hello, Marty fans. Mr. Ma here, back in the kitchen, going to attempt an apple tart tatin from France, spelled T-A-T-I-N. And what this uses is just a few ingredients of apples and caramel and baking, a little pastry, but it just takes a lot of work and takes a while, so I'll give you the highlights and we hope we have a successful dessert at the end. I'm using Fuji apples here. The recipe calls for some firm apples, something that's not going to turn to mush in the oven. So they recommended Fuji apples or Gala apples, and distinctly said don't use Granny Smiths because they will just mush up. There's a lot of manual labor involved in getting these apples ready for cooking. Bit off too much there, I think, but maybe not. So cut these in about thirds, so maybe they're, probably around ½ an inch thick. Sprinkle them with a little lemon juice in a bowl to keep them from turning brown. We want them to turn brown in the oven. Okay. Hello, time for the caramel. We found a bag of fancy sugar, so we're going to use that, but granulated sugar will do just fine. 3/4 of a cup. And we're going to start that on some medium heat here, if I turn on the right burner. 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and have them, use those little lines on the wrapper to mark off the tablespoons. This will be important to make the caramel the right consistency, the right color, etc. Add the butter and let that probably finish after all the sugar is melted. And after you throw in the butter, it's like another 2 minutes. This might be a good time to fire up the oven to 400 degrees. The pastry dough, but had to keep it cool here. It's made to be done in a pie pan, which I couldn't find right now. Alright, now it's time to put the apples into the caramel. It's going to look like they're not getting coated very much, but they are. And we're going to turn the heat back on a little bit and stir these around. Maybe the caramel's kind of thickened up a bit. Hopefully the caramel's loosening up. I think they cook at least ½ an hour, but this is part of the cooking. The apples should cook mostly in this pan and not so much in the oven. I put the apples into the pan, overlap them a bit because they will still shrink a bit as one cooks them. And don't worry, all this good caramel goodness is going to wind up in the oven here. All right, the pastry dough, it was bought frozen but is now thawed. We're gonna stick that over. It doesn't quite cover the pan we have. We just made a lucky guess here on that. We'll see what happens. Now, into the oven, 400 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been a half hour and actually a little bit. So, get your mitts and hot pants. Oh, that is nice looking. That looks nice. I think so. Let this sit for at least an hour. Okay, it's time for our panel of judges, also known as Soraya, to give this a try. That's a big bite. Yum, yum.
So I could be accused, I guess, of reading into what I'm painting here, but as I go along on this flowers, it dawns on me that they're very, again, more like the female organ, right? Look at that. I mean, that's really what I'm suggested here, I think, by the carver. So again, probably a nod to fertility, I would like to think. And it's amazing because it's a circle of it with a flower of the female labia. I think it's really interesting. I mean, I think this person who did this had some reason, some story that we will not know. Lost to time, maybe? I don't know. You know, a lot of this was done coming right off of the Dark Ages, so, you know, there was a lot of, not so much literacy, but that's very much what I see here.
Thanks for watching the show, the Mr. Marty Show, the Mr. Marty Show, the Mr. Marty Show. Oh, thank you for watching this delicious show. Well, it's all about apples. And I guess technically fall because around fall, then it's apple picking time. Well, anyway.